Do you think letting and estate agents focus too much on surviving as opposed to thriving? Talk to me.
So it's a really interesting point. When I was involved with us trying to form this organisation that never really came to much, called Ciela.
With Charlie Wright and a
With
few
Charlie
others.
Wright, which, again, fascinating journey, because you see how the sort of Chinese whispers of the industry can be very, very damaging if you don't handle a message. Very interesting to see some of the things that came out of the woodwork on there. I think, briefly met Charlie once at the Esters 2 or 3 years before, when they sponsored an award, and that was my only dealings with Charlie before that. Yet when it was formed and I was one of the invited sort of early agent board members, there were these rumours going around that we were Charlie's cronies and we all used his software, and that's why we were there to sing from the same hymn sheet. So that was an interesting part of the journey. But one of the other challenges that we faced as we tried to figure out how we could make it work, in the end we didn't, was we felt Charlie had made a good move by approaching the agents that we had. We were all independents.
Some big names in the industry, aren't
Some big names in the industry. You had Peter from Mayfair, who absolutely rules the market down there. We had the guys from Leeds. We had, and that was the nice thing as well. It wasn't London centric. It wasn't 20 London agents sat around a table saying what it should be. It was agents from across the country. We struggled to get female agents in the room, but we did towards the end get a couple onto the board. Not for lack of trying, but we tried really hard to. The idea was we were meant to be representative independent agents, so we formed a board of independent agents. And we thought Charlie had picked a really nice cross section. There were lettings, there were sales, different markets, all the way up to Peter Weatherall at Mayfair selling £20 million houses, and then we had some agents doing £400 a month rents. But I think a lot of the friction that we ran into with the proposals, and I have to admit this is secondhand, because this was sort of relayed to us through Charlie, who was really at the coalface. He was the one going out, talking to agents day in, day out, trying to really get this one to get traction. But one of the feedbacks that we got was that a lot of agents felt that the board he'd formed wasn't representative, because we were all agents who strove to be the best in our marketplace. For whatever reason that was, market share or customer service or whatever it was. And apparently a lot of agents felt that was not representative of their business, which was they were just trying to survive. They weren't interested in being the biggest in the area or the best in the area or whatever it was. They just wanted to know how to get through the next 6 months. And this created an interesting debate within the organisation. Because Charlie at that point started saying, look guys, we might have to completely revisit this board, and actually we might have to bin you guys, or most of you, and find more representative members from across the country.
More beige, more average.
Yeah, and I think we felt very strongly, our response to that was, yeah, but it's very, very difficult to run a business where your sole focus is survival, and I totally understand, especially in today's marketplace with the tenant fee ban and everything else that comes into place, that I think there's more and more pressure than ever on agents, and that must be heartbreaking for many. And I think they do go from day to day surviving, but I think it's all about what you set your goals at, right? I think if your goal is just to survive, that is the best you're ever going to achieve, because you're never looking further than that. And if the best you're ever going to achieve is literally just surviving, how is that an enjoyable journey to go on?
Why do you think a lot of letting and estate agents are like that? Very short-term, focused, myopic.
Look, I think it's a combination of things. Earnings vary enormously across the country. I'm always straight off the blocks to say that there's a lot of things we do in our agency that probably 70 or 80% of the country just couldn't afford to do because of their fee earnings. You know, I mean, our average let only fee, I think, is about £2,500, and if we manage it, then it's, you know, it's half that again. Now I can almost hear the other agents in other parts of the country sort of spurting their coffee out across the room at those fees.
A half decent leg's going to cost you £40,000 a year, isn't it? In London.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, everything. There are cost implications, and it's not that simple. And London is insanely competitive. You know, the amount of agents. You know, I know you talk a lot about how the marketplace has more than doubled in the last 15 years, with third less sales stock and whatever else is happening in the lettings marketplace. And I think London is super intense. So yeah, you know, London absolutely has its challenges, and I'm not trying to say that being a London agent is easy, for sure. We've chosen our message to be about providing what we feel is the best service out there.
Do you think the agents out there are enjoying their job at the moment, these survivors?
No, but I think that's true in any business. I think if that is your day-to-day reality, you know, I think if literally your every waking and sleeping moment is just where the next bill's going to come from, are your negs going to deliver that? I think.
How are you going to break that cycle? I mean, let's be honest. Most of the people that watch this won't do anything, but there might be one person.
I think you've got to start dreaming, right? I think you've got to start looking at aspirations. You've got to start being honest with yourself, and you've got to start asking the questions: why? Why are you only just surviving? I mean, there was actually another one of your videos. I think one of the recent ones you posted. With the MD of YouMove. I forget his name. But he made a fascinating point, which is agents don't understand their competitors enough. And I think that's absolutely right. You know, if you're struggling, but there's 10 other agents in your town that are smashing it, then you need to be taking a damn good hard look at yourself and going, why the hell am I struggling when they're not? What is so special about those businesses? Because the reality is, yes, you can have a dynamic leader or whatever else, but you apply the fundamentals, you make a couple of changes, you might not achieve what they will, but you might be able to leap halfway between surviving and where they are and actually finding that enjoyment again.
Yeah, I agree with you. Right, I think what you've got to do is write down on a piece of paper why you started the business in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, and the feelings, you know, stick it to the man, you were working for a corporate, those sort of things. I think the two big things, if I can share something back with you, Christian, is I think the first one is awareness, self-awareness of what you're good at and what you're not good at.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are very guilty of employing people like themselves. So if you're a bit scatty, you tend to employ other scatty people.
But that's also interesting to assess as well. Like, we've done that within the business, and we've tried these quite radical sort of different tests that you can do to understand your personality. And the one thing that we found really interesting about that is, you know, we've had staff do them, and either they've turned around and gone, I'm not like that, and you're sat there going, yes, you bloody well are. That is you to a T. Or you get a result, and you're sat there thinking, how have they got that result? And what's happened is they've put in the answers of how they perceive themselves to be, rather than that cold, harsh reality of, oh yeah, no, I do send too many emails. I do pontificate between things. Yeah. I would rather drop 1% off my fee than negotiate for an extra 20 minutes on why I'm worth it.
I mean, we've just recently released some mystery shopper phone calls, and Boyd from the sales doctor came in, and he went out on evaluation. He does mystery shopping.
Yeah.
He sits with the valuer, and basically the wife said, "We love you firm. We love everything about you. You've sold everything in the street. Right then, what's your fee?" And he turned around and said 1.4, but we'll do it for 1.
40% of your revenue, just 40%, just like that. And I think that's one of the problems, right? Again, in our industry, particularly in the sales side, 1%, 1.2%, 1.4%, It's only 0.4%. It's very easy to talk about it in those tiny matters. Like I said, that's it's not actually 40%, of course, is it? It's
still a lot of money.
30-odd% or whatever. But yeah, that's mega. I mean, when you think what the average agent operates at around 16% profit margin, if you're handing away 20, 30, 40% of your fee.
The other thing, so awareness is the first thing. The second thing, which has certainly helped me, is accountability.
Yeah. I think,
and humans are not very good at being very accountable to themselves.
I think particularly in small businesses, and I think when you're talking about the founder managers, I think absolutely it feels counterintuitive to own up to your mistakes.
Yes, it does.
To your staff,
and you're not going to your staff, and your staff aren't going to say anything.
No.
Let me show you a tip that a few people have shared with me, and I think it's amazing. Is yes, it's very nice. I don't think you can be accountable to your significant other because they're too close to the coalface, and you certainly can't be accountable to your staff because they're beholden to you to pay their wages and mortgages.
Yeah.
Okay.
I partly agree with that one.
Okay. Well, we're going to be talking about the staff in another video, so we'll probably pick that up if you don't mind on that one. A lot of people can't afford a coach.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I've found is this: we've all got 2 or 3 people that we put on a pedestal that we look up to who are successful in life.
Yeah.
And people love their opinion to be asked. So my advice to you guys is pick up the phone and take some of your friends out for a cup of coffee and say, look, humans love their opinion. Humans love to be asked for help.
Yeah.
Don't blow smoke up their arse first and then ask for help. Do it the other way around. I need a favour.
Yeah.
I need to meet you every 6 or 8 weeks, half an hour, to go through how I'm driving this business. I don't want your money. I just want half an hour of your time just as a sounding board.
I mean, spot on. I mean, I've shared a lot of what we do within our company with, I've pretty much shared it with anyone who'll ask, and I don't care if they're an agent down the road or an agent.
I've seen that in action when we've been having a few beers, and agents come up to you and talk to you.
Yeah, and I'll openly talk about schemes that we do. I mean, I was at the Lettings Industry Council, not the one just now, but the one before Christmas, and I stood up in front of the room and talked about the merits of some of the service offerings we do, and that we are the only agent in the country that does, much to my bemusement, 6-7 years after we've been doing certain things. But no, I think I've got an agent, lovely agent, who contacted us about 18 months ago in Ireland, and she basically said, "Look, love how you guys work. Do you think I could bring my team over to meet you guys for half a day?" And you know what? We turned around and we went, "Do you know what? If you can wait till then, when we're quieter, absolutely. Come on over, spend half a day in our office. We'll talk you through the ins and outs of how we run the whole business. What do you want for it? Just take us out for lunch afterwards." And that was a really fascinating day. And actually, we learnt a lot out of it as well. And she came over, brought her 4 staff with her, and literally every 40 minutes or so, they would swap. So they got to sit with every single person in our company. They got to ask whatever question they wanted about it. And then we went and had a nice little lunch afterwards and a bit of a laugh about it. And they went off and implemented things, several of which have worked really well. And she's now actually asked to come and see us again, which we're doing at the end of Feb.
Lovely.
And she's not bringing the whole team this time. She's coming over because that was quite an exercise before. But, I'm not saying every agent should give up half a day to a potential competitor or whatever, but I will always happily debate.
Well, I think
ideas.
the more you help other people get what they want, it always comes back. That's what Zig Ziglar always used to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's got to be. Cheers, Chris.